Thank you everyone for joining us today. Ina mana, ina reo, au rangatira mā, ina koutou katoa. Hei karakia, te timatanga te tātou, whakataka te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau ki te taonga, kia mākina, ki ota, kia mātaratara ki tai, hi aki ana, kia tākura, te tio, e huka, e hauhanga. Tūtaru whakamaua kia tīna. Tīna. Haumi e, hui e, taiki.
Taiki.
Kia ora everyone, and welcome to our wānanga for today. A very special guests. We have Amy Hudson and Michael Green joining us from Toitu to Whenua to share with us their kaupapa, their mahi, all about preserving our Kauri heritage. They're going to be talking to us today and sharing with us about field data capture, about how they're managing data security, and a little bit on their GIS mapping work. So I'm going to hand over to them just very shortly, but just wanted to let you know that we're recording this session. It'll be available on the Ngā Poutama Mata Whenua YouTube channel. If you just Google on YouTube for Ngā Poutama Mata Whenua, you'll get the previous recordings. It takes us a couple of weeks just to get it up and with captions and everything, but then we'll be all there and good to go. I still have an outstanding task from our last month, so I've got to re-record our QGIS demonstration, but that data is all there and ready for you to access if you want on matawhenua.com. But I'm going to hand it over to Amy and Michael in just a second. If you can please just mute your microphone while our guests are giving us their bit of a kōrero, bit of a demonstration. If you have any pārtai questions, please put them in the chat, and we'll finish up about 30-40 minutes, and then we'll try and stop the recording, and so we can have a bit more free kōrero and any pārtai you might have. So with that, I'm going to hand over to perhaps Amy, if you would like to kick us off. Kia ora.
Kia ora team, and kia ora Dwayne. So for those who don't know me, ko taupiri toku manga, ko wakato toku awa, no kirikiri roa ahau, kei te noho a ke o te tahi, ko Amy Hudson taku ingoa, kia ora tātou katoa. Man, really messed it up on the end. I was doing so well. Thank you for bearing with me on that. I definitely tried my best. So, and with me today is Michael, who I will hand over to now to introduce himself.
Thanks, Amy. Kia ora, everyone. Ko ingarangi te whakapaparanga mai, ko raurapa te whenua tupu, ko poneki te kāinga, he matanga tā te wahi, matamua e Toitu te Whenua, ko Michael Green ahau, tēnā tātou katoa. And I'll pass back.
Cool. Thank you so much for joining us today, team. So I hope we've got what we reckon is a pretty cool presentation on Kete Aronui, GIS mapping to support Kauri and Ngahere health. So yeah, excited to crack right into it. So I'm a geospatial specialist at Toitu Te Whenua Land Information New Zealand, and Kete Aronui is my bread and butter. So I'm very keen to share this with you guys. So a little bit of context about protecting Kauri ora and why we are protecting Kauri ora, other than the fact that, of course, we want to. Kauri are precious. Kauri are a taonga and keystone species of Aotearoa, and Kauri health is connected to the health of the entire Ngahere. However, they are under threat by the soil-borne pathogen Phytophthora agathodicida, which causes severe canopy dieback and eventually tree death in trees of all age classes. Te Kina Kauri is who we work with to support iwi and agencies in the protection of Kauri ora across New Zealand. Over to you, Michael.
Cool, thanks, Amy. So how does GIS come into play in the Kauri space? So we really have three main areas. We've got our field data collection, which is really important in the Kauri ora space. This is generally sort of data around the tree locations where Kauri are in our forests, where we've taken soil samples, and things like the routes to those trees, particularly those trees that are in difficult spots in the forest. If somebody finds a nice, easy route, they'll save that and be able to use that in future. Then we have sort of our desktop tools or our GIS visualization tools. These are generally like our web mapping and our web viewers, and that sort of gives us all of that data in one place. Has a bit of a mixture of public and private and restricted data, which we'll get into in a bit, and sort of provides, allows you to see that whole picture across the Ngahere. And then sort of lastly, we have that reporting and analysis. Now that we've got all that data together in one place, that we can use that data for analysis. Some things we do with that is we do some risk mapping of the forests, and we also do some reporting around where those samples have been taken. And we're looking to get into some dashboards and start using some dashboarding tools as well. We're mainly so Kete Aronui is in an ArcGIS environment, so we're going to mainly be talking about some ArcGIS tools today. So just got a couple icons there to sort of show we're mainly using some of these tools like Survey 123 or ArcGIS Experience Builder. Amy's going to give us a bit of a demo and have a look at some of those tools a little bit later on, but just wanted to call those out at this point. Thanks, Amy. If we go into our next slide. Cool, so just a quick little bit here around ArcGIS setup for us as well. So if you're not familiar, ArcGIS has ArcGIS Online and ArcGIS Enterprise. They are very, very similar. There is a bit of a table on the left there that sort of has some of the differences, but in general, the front end is almost identical. The tools within them are almost identical. Really, the main difference here for us is that ArcGIS Online is managed by Esri in America, whereas ArcGIS Enterprise is sort of a self-hosted, something that you can look after yourself. Requires a bit more sort of administration around that technology infrastructure, but gives you a bit more greater control over sort of what's happening with your data and where it's located and that sort of stuff. So for us, Kete Aronui is sort of deployed in ArcGIS Enterprise, and that gives us that next level of control. But if you are more familiar with ArcGIS Online, all the tools and everything we're going to be showing today are still absolutely usable, and all of this can be achieved in ArcGIS Online. Cool, so if we jump into our next slide, just wanted to talk a little bit around sort of the restrictions and data security within Kete Aronui and within some of the other platforms and tools that we also build. So we have things like controlled access. So we secure permissions to data and applications through membership groups. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and I think in the next slide as well. And we have visibility of those applications and data, which is managed at that Ngahere partnership level. We also have data governance. So Kauri, as the Kauri management agency, they have sort of a framework with the group controlled sharing rights there as well. And those permissions let us define things like who can view data, who can edit it, or who can export it. And we can get really quite granular with those permissions using those groups as well. The platform also allows us to have a single source of truth here. We have these layers, we call them master layers, and this sort of allows us to pull all the data into one layer and then use these group-specific views to ensure that each group is only able to see the data relevant for their Ngahere, while sort of keeping things like administration easy for us with just having a smaller number of layers and keeping things consistent. The platform also allows external connections, so we have secure integration with trusted partners. This allows us to both pull data from their systems into our system in a secure manner, and also allows us to expose our data from Kete Aronui into their internal systems too. So it really lets us both leverage our tools. And around ownership and sovereignty, so data ownership for data, is retained by the original owner, and it's shared through Kauri into that Lens platform there as well. And of course, our platform, similar to ArcGIS Online as well, has authentication. So all of the accounts are password protected, and there is sort of a authorization process to go through to make sure you are who you say you are and you do belong to this group before you can get access to that data. Cool. So if we jump into our next slide. Just put together a really, really simple diagram just to kind of show how some of this sharing works in the platform. So most of our data is hosted in the environment as a hosted feature layer. That really is just to say this is a data layer, whether that's a raster or a line layer or what kind of data it is. That data then gets shared to a group. So again, these groups are generally our Ngahere level sort of partnership groups, and then it will get shared through an application for them to sort of interact with the data on. That application could be shared to multiple groups. So in this little diagram, we can see that both Group A and Group B both have access to that application. But because the data, this particular layer has only been shared with Group A, Group B is not able to see that data. So again, this sort of helps us keep consistency and keep administration low with having a low number of applications, while still allowing us to have that really specific permission level control over who can see what data and what they can do with it, which is really important. Cool. So we move on to our next slide. And I think I'm throwing back to Amy to have a look at some demos in Kete Aronui.
Indeed. So Kete Aronui is kind of the one-stop shop for Kauri data and applications across Kauri lands. You can see it's kind of configured like a website, which has been enabled by ArcGIS Enterprise Sites, which puts a nice website-looking wrapper around your system. You can control what's on there, obviously, what data is available. You can display and get people to interact with your apps. It's a really, really handy way of making data and resources more user-friendly within an ArcGIS environment. However, if you are on AGOL or ArcGIS Online and you want something similar, fear not, because there is a equivalent application in ArcGIS Online called ArcGIS Hubs, which will give you the same kind of outcome. Inside Kete Aronui, we have the Kete Aronui Data Viewer, which allows our Ngahere groups to be able to view and interact with their data. All the data that's been shown today is just training data or contextual data. As Michael mentioned, the actual data itself is quite restricted. So just to respect people, the privacy and restrictions on that data, this is all test data. One of the cool things about Kete Aronui is that as well as having the data for each individual forest group, we also have contextual layers which are shared to all of Kete Aronui. So that includes things like the river lines, river names that are being shown here, track lines. You can also add your own reference data by URL or by file, which saves it in a local session of this experience builder. Or if you want your data to be permanently in the system, so you can refer to it all the time, you can let us know and we can get that uploaded in there and assigned to that forest group. So one of the cool things that I really like about this experience builder is that it's able to have different permissions in the same map, which didn't used to be the case. So it was quite a cool development for us. And so, yeah, this was built in experience builder and sorry, I got distracted by a comment, lost my train of thought. I'm refocusing, I promise. Yeah, so that's pretty much the Kete Aronui data viewer. It holds heaps of data and each group can only see their own data plus the contextual layers. So it gives kind of a good mix. You can also add your own reference data by URL or by... Can anyone else hear that? Save a whole session of this experience builder.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought I was going bananas.
We always be on the recording, Amy. It's all good. Catch by. Carry on, mate. It's good.
Thought I was being haunted by myself. That was quite an interesting experience. Cool. Katie Pie, thank you, team. I think that was pretty much, I've been a bit rattled, apologies, but I think that was pretty much all I wanted to cover on the Kete Aronui data viewer. It's a one-stop shop for people to be able to view and interact with their data, and you can see it both holistically with contextual data, contextual layers to be able to ground your personal data as well. Moving swiftly on. Field data collection, as Michael touched on, is a really important part of the Kete Aronui program or the Kauri program, especially for tree health assessments and actually interacting with those trees in the Ngahere. Thankfully, ArcGIS has a few apps to help us do this. We've got Survey 123, which is fantastic for form-based data collection, as the survey name might kind of help suggest, and enables really complex survey structures to be designed quite easily and in a user-friendly way for the end user. Field Maps is a map-centric data collection app. So instead of Survey 123, which has the form pretty much taking up the whole screen, Field Maps is mostly you're focusing on a map, and you can interact with the data. You can overlay different data, and you can take both Survey 123 and Field Maps offline into the field as well, which is another really important part for our teams who are in the field. We don't use it in the Kauri space, but some of our other programs use quick capture, which is fantastic for rapid data collection.
Amy, could I just add a comment there? In our end of year wrap up for Ngā Pautama Mata Whenua, we're going to be offering the chance for whānau to win one of 3 Esri provided full personal accounts where you'll be able to access Survey 123 field maps, quick capture, and several other applications at no cost. Usually Esri and the local supplier Eagle Technology, they provide a vastly reduced annual fee for non-profit groups, and all you're basically doing is paying for a few credits for data storage. So in a personal account, in a personal free account, these don't come up, but we'll be giving away a couple of paid accounts. And yeah, if anyone has any partai in relation to that, feel free to flick a message in the chat and we can have a kōrero about it after as well. But thanks, Amy.
Fantastic. That's a really exciting prize. Cool beans. So the main apps we use in the Kauri space are Survey 123 for collecting data on tree health, and then field maps for helping users navigate to their points of interest or specific trees in the forest, and helping them track their routes and overlaying those same kind of contextual layers that you saw in the Kete Aronui data viewer. So this is a sneak peek at the private Kauri form, which is the Survey 123 form that is used to collect Kauri health data in the field. So as you can kind of tell by the scroll through, it is quite a chunky form. There is a lot to it, and Survey 123 Connect is what we used to build this. So there's two versions of Survey 123. You can get it on the web, or you can download Survey 123 Connect. In this case, we decided to use Survey 123 Connect because it gives you a little bit more control over how you can structure questions and the survey. So I'll switch this tab now because I don't want anyone to get dizzy watching that scrolling through. And you actually control in Survey 123 Connect, you control the survey from an Excel sheet like this one. So you can use like the relevant column to control when questions appear depending on answers and other questions, or you can calculate fields as well, and you can get really granular with your level of control in the form. So on the horizon for us, we are looking to expand field maps, particularly around with being able to track routes. That's a really cool feature that we think will be really interesting for a dashboard or for reporting, as well as helping out kai mahi in the future when resurveying the same trees in the future. As Michael mentioned, we've also got some master layers, which we're hoping to leverage into some dashboards to get some quick insights. And we're going to continue leveraging ArcGIS applications like Experience Builder, Survey 123, dashboards to create tools for Kauri order operations. Got some links, some extra links for experts here. So these links kind of cover, they introduce you to Te Akina Kauri, as well as introducing to some of the key applications that we use today. I'm sure I can put those links in the chat, or I think we're going to be sending out the slides afterwards as well. So either way, we should be able to get access for everyone to those if you're interested. Ngā mihi nui, thank you so much for listening to us, and we're really keen to hear your questions.
Fantastic. Thank you, Amy. Hey, I just wanted to clarify the software we're talking about here. It's a bit like Microsoft Office. And for the Kauri application, if you're part of the partnership, could you just confirm for me, Amy, there's no cost associated with that. So it's not necessarily, it's only if you want to create and expand on it in your own rōpū or other groups. But for to access and participate in the Kauri work.
Yeah, so it's my understanding that the Kete Aronui tools are supplied by Te Akina Kauri for Kauri order groups to be able to engage with without cost.